video. Yes, we did a video on DAWs and we scraped the surface. And of course, we didn't include all of the DAWs. So this is part 2 of the DAW Wars. And in part 2, we're going to go to our friend Robert from Home Studio Simplify. He, of course, is a Cakewalk user, which is made these days by BandLab. What everybody seems to love about this one is it's A, a good DAW. B, it is free, a whopping no dollars. It is a free DAW. It runs on Windows, so it is PC only, but then there are some of you that actually put Windows on a Mac, and if you're one of those people, you can run it as well. And once again, it is no dollars. It is a free DAW.
Hey everyone, Robert McClellan here from the Home Studio Simplified channel to talk to you about my favorite DAW of choice, Cakewalk by BandLab. When I was 15 years old, I began to write my own music, and by 17, I was recording song ideas on a tape deck and overdubbing onto a separate blank tape while playing takes back. This was my first introduction to overdubbing. Shortly thereafter, I got into digital recording and I tried a few different options. Acid Music Studio and Magix Music Studio, I believe, are the first that come to mind, but all the options that I tried seemed to either stifle my creativity or they just simply had too many limitations. Then I stumbled onto an awesome piece of hardware called the Boss BR800. Now, apart from being an awesome tool for recording my songs, it also had a DAW bundled with it called Cakewalk Sonar LE. Needless to say, immediately I fell in love with the software, and since then, this DAW has only gotten better, and they continue to improve upon it every month. Now, in the late 80s and early 90s, Cakewalk was the first DAW to work with MIDI recording capabilities, the first to invent plug-in delay compensation, and 2x upsampling of audio, as well as 64-bit processing. When Melodyne took the vocal editing world to the next level, Cakewalk was also the first to integrate it into their workflow, and even had an LE version of Melodyne bundled for free for new users. Now, in the organization department, Cakewalk has always been ahead of the curve as well, as it was the first DAW to introduce folders and has always had the greatest amount of customization options still to this day, with the ability to literally change the way that everything looks inside of it. You see, with Cakewalk, your creativity is not hindered at all. It has infinite tracks, limitless routing possibilities, an integrated arranger tool, and the coveted mix recall feature, which has literally helped me meet deadlines and keep clients happy with lightning fast revision changes. Now, in the midst of all this awesomeness, probably the greatest thing about Cakewalk is that after BandLab acquired it, they made it 100% free, but not just an LE or a light version. In fact, if you were to download Cakewalk today, you would be downloading the equivalent of their flagship Platinum version back in the day, only better now due to all of the upgrades that they've made since they've taken the reins. Now, just like any DAW on the market, it does still have its limitations. As of now, Cakewalk is only available for PC users. However, with the browser-based little brother and mobile mini DAW BandLab, you can work on projects across a multiplicity of platforms and have all of your work available within its big brother, Cakewalk, seamlessly. Okay, let me unpack some of these features on the desktop so that you get a visual representation of exactly what I'm talking about. So if I press the A button, it's going to open up the arranger feature that's found within Cakewalk. As you can see, I can split the song into several different parts, and then with the arranger window over here, I can rearrange those parts based off of how I would like for them to sound, and even save those arrangements as different arrangements and recall them at any time. Likewise, within Cakewalk by BandLab, there's a tempo track, which will allow you to globally automate the tempo of any given song. There's also several different shortcuts within Cakewalk that make this a breeze to use. If I wanted to highlight these 5 tracks and expand only them alone, I can do that with simple shortcuts. Likewise, if I hold my control button, I can adjust the volume of all of those tracks at once. And to make things even faster, if I wanted to copy EQ settings from one to another, I can simply click and drag that here by holding the control button. Or if I wanted to copy a plugin, I can also do that here by holding the control button, clicking and dragging, and now that plugin will be copied over with all the same settings that I've just made. Now, as stated before, when it comes to customization, Cakewalk is second to none. You can change the entire theme here with 2 built-in themes, Mercury or Tungsten, or with the built-in theme editor, you can create your own theme like I've done here. In fact, with the theme editor, you can even change the way the knobs and the sliders look and even adjust how the meter reacts to incoming audio signals. And if you want to stay on brand, you can even add your own branding into the DAW itself. Now, if you're interested in trying this DAW, download it for free today. And if you decide that you'd like to stick with it, I have a course inside the Pro Mix Academy that can teach you everything that you need to know about this amazing DAW.
Next up, we have Waveform Pro 12 by Tracktion. This was another popular one that people asked about. This, like BandLab, has a free option. So you can download it for free and use it. There is also a version that comes free if you buy their hardware. And then lastly, there's an all major features version, which is $99. So you can start off trying it out for free. And we have Zane from Audio Tech TV, who's going to take us through the features that they love on Tracktion.
I'm Zane Smith. You might know me from Audio Tech TV, and I'm going to talk about one of the most overlooked DAWs. That's Tracktion WaveForm. And I've used many programs in the past, Pro Tools, FL Studio, Reaper, a bunch of them, but something about Tracktion WaveForm really clicked with me, and the workflow is very quick for me. So let's jump in and check out some of the features that I really like with Tracktion WaveForm. So the first thing is you can grab this for free. There's a version called Waveform Free, and like the name suggests, it's totally free, and it's a completely unlocked DAW or DAW. And there's no time limitations. There's no limitations on saving projects, no track limitations. You can bring in your own third-party plugins. It's the same exact core program as the Pro version. The only difference is that the Pro version comes with some extra plugins and instruments and some added features that not having aren't going to cripple your creativity at all. They're just really nice features to have added in there. Waveform Free is a fully capable DAW that's ready for your creativity, and it's available on Mac, Windows, Linux, and even Raspberry Pi. So lots of availability there. Now let's look at the program itself, and what I really like about it is the speed of its workflow. It's very quick. You can access everything from this one page. So you can do your recording in here. You can access all of your plugins right over on the side. So this is like your mixer right over the side here. You can see we have our plugins over here that we can open up and edit. This is our fader right here. So we don't even need to bring up the console. You have your fader here, your panning. This is your meter over here. But if you do like that more traditional console view, we can go up, click on that, and we can open up a more traditional console down at the bottom. And it may take some time to get used to editing over to the side, but once you do, you probably won't be opening that console anymore. I know I don't anymore. I've gotten so used to just doing everything over here. It's very quick. You can access your step clips in here if you really want. So in here, we can start creating a beat with a step clip if that's what we want to do. Or if we want, we can add a MIDI clip in here or record MIDI in or bring in already created MIDI and work on it right in here. You can see our piano roll, and we can go in there and edit our MIDI however we want. We haven't really left this page. Everything is still there. Now let's get back into our mixer or console over here. One of the cool things about Tracktion WaveForm's mixer is that it's fully modular. So this is our fader right here. If we want, we can put our fader in front of the plugin. We can have it after the plugin. We can have it after the meter if we want. You can move that around wherever you want. So you can have it between two plugins, something like that. And you can even have your sends anywhere you want. You can put a send right in between two plugins, after the two plugins, after the fader, before the fader, wherever you want. This mixer is fully modular, which is really cool. And if that flexibility still isn't enough for you, we can wrap our plugins here into a rack. And now you can see we have this rack where we're going into our channel strip plugin, and that's going into this EQ here. And we can add more plugins in there, and you can route the different audio wherever you want. There is so much options that you can do with these racks, and they really work with multi-output instruments very well. So the workflow of Tracktion WaveForm is really the star of this program. It's so easy to use, and I've never come across anything where I feel like I'm missing out on a feature or something like that. It's all in there. Now, a feature in the Pro version that I really like is the remove silence feature. So we have our vocal track here, and you can see there's spots where I'm not singing, and there's probably some sounds in there, like maybe hitting the microphone or maybe breathing or swallowing. There's always sounds in the background. So what we can do is just right click on the clip, click on remove silence, And you can see in here, it's going to remove all those areas. And you can change the threshold if you want, the release and the hold, all of those things you can change. I'm just going to leave it at the default for now. Click apply. If you look, it removed all that silence and it created fades at the beginning of the clip and at the end. So it really helps to speed up the editing and mixing workflow. Whenever I want to quickly record a song and mix it, I know I can open up Tracktion WaveForm and get the job done. So give the free version a try, give it a good test drive, and see if you can get hooked on Tracktion WaveForm like I did.
So if you've watched the channel before, I'm sure you know that we've actually done something on Luna already by Universal Audio. But we're now going to go to Steve Kinney, who's going to take us through everything in a little bit more detail. Now, Luna is presently free, but of course you have to use it with UAD hardware, but many of you, of course, use UAD hardware already. It has a line of virtual instruments, and I think one of the things that lots of people like about it is it has an API and Neve summing built into it. And these are all legitimate clones, or at least digital clones of the original gear.
Hey, what's going on? My name is Steve Kinney. I'm a producer, engineer, and content creator here in Nashville, Tennessee. My channel focuses on how-to videos for outboard gear, audio production tips, and all things UAD and Luna. Now, I've been making music for as long as I can remember, and as I've evolved, the DAW I use has evolved along with me. I've used everything from Sonic Foundry Acid 4, FL Studio, Pro Tools, Logic, Studio One, you name it, but I'm absolutely hooked on Luna, and here's why. The first thing that I love about Luna is the Apollo integration. Anyone who uses an Apollo is familiar with UAD console. Briefly, it's the control application for the Apollo, and if you use any other DAW, you pretty much have to bounce back and forth from the DAW and console to properly get the most from your Apollo. With Luna, console is essentially built right in line with the mixer within Luna. This allows you to either commit your effects or monitor your effects while recording without having to reload the plugin or fumble with copying settings over from console after the fact into your DAW. Now, that's not the only streamlining reason why I love Luna. The second reason I love Luna is Luna extensions and summing. A common thing to do these days is to put Neve, API, SSL type plugins across your buses to get that console color, that console sound. But rather than having to manage a bunch of plugins, plugin windows, DSP, again, it's all inline inside the mixer in Luna. And cleverly, they've also emulated the fader throws of those consoles, so if you use a control surface to mix like I do, it now breaks the fourth wall and it allows your control surface to feel like an API or feel like a Neve console by matching the fader throw physically on your device. It's a super nice touch, and it's that next level attention to detail that we've come to know and love from Universal Audio. Another big thing for me that I absolutely love is the contextual editing and controls. In my opinion, most DAWs are a little painful to look at for the very first time. There's all sorts of menus across the bottom, across the top, and if you don't know what those settings are, again, it's a little uncomfortable and you might struggle as you start to work on your first project. Luna has evolved this method of thinking, and they've created 4 workflows which kind of streamline what controls are shown across the top. And along with it, they've also included contextual icons for your cursor once you're hovering in the right contextual spot for whatever editing task you may be doing at the time. No doubt, in my opinion, Luna is probably the easiest on the eyes, and when you're working with something for hours at a time, that really makes a big difference in your productivity and how long you can actually focus on the project you're working on. So for me, that's a big deal. But my absolute favorite thing about Luna, bar none, is the included sounds. Whether you dive into the paid offerings of Luna extensions and summing or not, included in the program for free is an instrument called Shape, and Shape has some amazing sounds. You gotta check it out. They have some incredible sounding drum samples, including the 808. They have some Simmons stuff, synthesizers like the Mellotron, string ensembles, really cool bass sounds, some lead synthesizer sounds. The first time that I loaded Shape and started toying around just on a MIDI controller, I got super inspired. Finally, I'll say this about Luna: is it going to stay in its current form forever? Obviously not. There's a lot of things that we'll likely see developed and put into the program as it ages. And because of this, it's a great opportunity for anyone new to production, new songwriters, to jump into a program and learn the advanced features as they add them. Learn, develop right along with the program as the program develops. Anyways, a big thank you to Produce Like a Pro for having me on the channel. I greatly appreciate it. And an even bigger thank you to you on the other side of the screen. Thanks for sticking with me and watching. If you'd like to learn more about Luna or you're new to Luna, check out my Luna Basics series on my channel. Alternatively, for dedicated one-on-one mentoring, you can reach out to me directly through my website at thestevekinney.com. Thanks so much, guys. Cheers.
So just before the pandemic in 2019, I went to Superbooth and I met up with the Bitwig guys. So Bitwig now have Studio 4 and Ollie from Ollie Music is going to take us through it. I do remember there was a lot of synth guys, of course, at Superbooth and they all loved Bitwig. So I know that might be something for those of you that are into that world. The 16-track version of Bitwig is $99. The full studio version is $399, and it, like Cubase and Nuendo, has unlimited tracks. So thank you, Ollie. He's going to take us through it.
Hello, Internet. My name is Ollie. I'm a Psytrance producer, sound designer, and content creator, and recently I moved from Ableton Live to Bitwig. Today, I want to show you why Bitwig is awesome and why it's worth the try. Now, when you open up Bitwig for the first time and you're someone like me who comes from Ableton Live, you realize that Bitwig took a lot from the workflow of Ableton Live and actually improved it, made it faster and more intuitive. So for instance, if you click on this little icon in here, you realize that Bitwig put both live and arrangement view on the same page. So now you can jam, craft your ideas on the live session in here, like this idea I have. And all what you have to do to start arranging and sequencing is select your clips, Control/Command, click on them and drag them to the arrangement view. And voila, done. Now we have to close the live session and click on this little button here and the clips are activated in the arrangement view. Now, as a Psytrance producer, I work a lot with audio, and moving from MIDI to audio is really simple in Bitwig. All what I have to do is click on these clips in here, right-click and bounce in place. Bounce in place will bounce only the audio from the synthesizer and will discard the audio effects. Like so, the audio clip that we have in here, when I'll play it, it'll go directly to the audio effects and it'll bypass the synthesizer. Like so, I can mangle it, change it, cut it, do whatever I like with it without affecting the synthesizer. And vice versa. If I want to change something in the synthesizer, I can do it and bounce in place again, and we have everything on the same channel, which by the way became a hybrid channel. It was a MIDI channel and then it became a hybrid channel. A hybrid channel accepts both MIDI and audio. So you can do everything you want on the same channel in the same place without switching backward and forward between MIDI channel, audio channel, etc., etc. This is a life and a huge time saver for me. Then you will continue discovering Bitwig and you realize that every device, whether it's internal or external, has access to all of Bitwig's modulator via this little plus icons in here. So if you click on one, you have all of this list of modulators. Let's take an LFO, and this LFO can modulate almost anything in Polymer. And if you're using an external device, these modulators are capable of modulating every parameter the external device allows you to modulate. And these modulators doesn't stop at modulating the device, but also everything that it's in its chain. Meaning, let's add a phaser in here. This phaser is outside of the chain of Polymer, but if I'll put it in its FX chain, now this LFO can modulate the phaser too. So just like a modular synthesizer, everything can be modulated by everything. And speaking of modular synthesizers, Bitwig has its own modular environment called the grid. Let me show you. So here's Polygrid, and just like any modular environment, you have building blocks, oscillators, filters, shapers, delays, LFOs, envelope, logic modules, etc. that you will use to create your own unique synthesizers, audio effects, or MIDI effects. And I couldn't think of a better way to show you how powerful this tool is than by showing you one of my patches. This patch is an atmosphere machine. I've already made a tutorial on my channel of how I made it, so go check it out. This atmosphere machine uses one sample in here to create this weirdness. Okay, pretty awesome. Now this sound is a little bit too dry, so what I can do is add a reverb in here. I'll use the stock reverb from Bitwig, sounds like this. And I can make it way more special and way more unique by adding effects to the tank effect in here. The tank effects is basically adding effects to the algorithm of the reverb, meaning it's not on the output signal, but within the processing of the reverb signal. So for example, I can add a phaser. Check this out. Moving on, one of the main reasons why I switched to Bitwig is its stability. Bitwig is really hard to crash, and that's thanks to a technology called Sandbox. Sandbox will separate the processing of Bitwig and your VST plugins, meaning if one of your VST plugins crashes, Bitwig won't crash, it'll just continue working, and all what you have to do is reload that crashed plugin, and that's it. You didn't lose any data, you didn't lose your project, everything is still the same, you just had one little hiccup and that's pretty much it. And also, Bitwig is always being updated. I bought it like a year and a half ago, and since it had 3 major updates, and every major update brings a lot of new awesome features to the DAW. And yeah, with this is why I think Bitwig is awesome. Go try it out and check out my channel for more Bitwig tutorials. Have a great one, see you next time.
A few years ago, I made a record with the rather wonderful Mr. Paul Gilbert. I'm sure you know who he is. He's a shredding, incredible guitar player, and he used this DAW. It is Nuendo. I had a hard time navigating it, but after about a day or two, I got around it pretty fast. Our friend Phil Pendlebury from Everything Creative is going to take us through Nuendo 12 by Steinberg. It is $499, but there are different price upgrades depending on if you've already used Nuendo, you can pay less to upgrade to the latest and greatest. What is nice about this is it works with Dolby Atmos. So a lot of people who want to get into Atmos are finding Nuendo a quick entry way to get in there. And like Cubase, another Steinberg product, it has unlimited tracks and MIDI tracks. And also it works up to 384 kilohertz, which is insane. An audio resolution of 384K.
Hey everyone, Phil Pendlebury here from Everything Creative in Dubai. I hope you're having a super mega large day. So my weapon of choice on the DAW is Steinberg's Nuendo. How did I get to that? Well, like many of us, I was a singer, songwriter, guitar player back in the day. I started with Cubase on the Atari and did lots of interesting productions all the way through up until now. Now the thing is that a lot of people don't realize Nuendo basically does everything that Cubase does, but more. So this opens up avenues for other kinds of work like game audio, sound design, and of course movie and advertising work that you can't really do in Cubase. So what I'm going to do is just quickly show you a couple of things. I know I haven't got a lot of time. Quickly show you a couple of things that you may not realize that Nuendo can do. And don't forget that, of course, Nuendo can do everything that Cubase does. All right, let's have a quick look. All right, so before we move on, just want to quickly show you one of my all-time favorites, which is workspaces. This also applies to Cubase, but it's so useful. So key commands set up, and all I have to do, as you can see, I've got a big kind of voice acting reel set up here. Hold the key commands and I can switch between all these different workspaces that I have predefined for different tasks. Okay, so while we've got this voice acting project open, just have a quick listen. There's one of my voices.
Gardener. He is very important to me.
I'll show you how that was done in a minute. But it's very nice to be able to delineate all these different parts. And you can do that so simply now. All we have to do is select all the different character voices that I've got here. I'm not going to play them all to you now. And we go over to Project. And we go create markers from selected events. You then get the chance to change the naming and where the names come from, add markers, and you end up with what I've got here. Now taking that a step further, we can now open the marker track and you can see I've got all the different characters. And I can even add more columns. So I can add, for example, the reel, the target track, any of the ADR stuff. And I can sort, I can filter. So if I only want to see, the voices that I'm doing, I can deselect them and just say, okay, this is Phil's parts. We can move through them and so on. Really handy. So back to that particular voice, I did say it was me. Yes, just talking like this. But one of the things that comes with Nuendo is Voice Designer, and that enables you to do all sorts of clever things. Not got time to go into it in detail now, but let me just play you that voice without the Voice Designer on.
All except the gardener. He is very important to me.
And then with it back on again.
All except the gardener. He is very important.
All right, maybe I wouldn't make it into a Star Wars movie, but it's close. All right, so here's a little sound design project. This is just a car driving along the street near where I live. There was no sound on this at all, but I've chucked some sound on. Doesn't sound great, but we have a little plug-in called Doppler, which enables us to do things like emulate the sound of vehicles moving around, you know, the Doppler effect, right? So here it is with the Doppler. Dolby Atmos. It's a buzzword at the moment. We're all getting into it, and it's super exciting, super fun. Got to be honest, the end results can be amazing. And Nuendo makes this so easy to set up. So here we've got a bunch of stems. It's just it's a song of mine that's not released, and it won't ever be released. So therefore, I know I can use it on YouTube without having any problems with copyrights of my own music. So we've got a rough mix set up. All we have to do in Nuendo now is go over to Project. We go to the ADM authoring tool, and we now have the setup assistant, which means with a few criteria, we can basically just get ready for a Dolby Atmos mix. And we've already added the bed there. You can then continue to add your objects, and we're in full Dolby Atmos mode instantly. There's nothing to really play you there. We also have a binaural option, which means that you can mix with your headphones, and it's just great. So that's Dolby Atmos in Nuendo. So yeah, apart from, of course, the integrated Dolby Atmos support, we've got the ADR taker, we've got field recorder audio import, Reconform, Netflix intelligibility meters in supervision, loudness track, loudness normalizer, video cut detection, Game Audio Connect, which I mentioned earlier, and lots of other sound design tools apart from the Doppler that I mentioned, and of course Voice Designer. Post and Game Audio Connect, Game Sound Effects Pro library also comes with Nuendo, so it's a great option. All right, so there we go for now. Thanks ever so much for watching, guys. It's been my pleasure. And just before I do go, quick reminder, Nuendo, Cubase, but more. Lots of new features, and of course post-production, game audio, Dolby Atmos, music, obviously, and virtual reality. So please try and check it out. Thanks very much for listening. See you soon.
So many of you, of course, use FL Studio, which used to be known as Fruity Loops. So we're going to go through the features of that. It is a wonderful DAW. If you want to know more about Fruity Loops, please check out Mick Gordon's video. This guy is one of the best game music composers in the business, and he writes exclusively in Fruity Loops, FL Studio. There will be a link down below. Last, but definitely no means least, at least in this episode, there may be a third episode, is Mixcraft 9 by Acoustica. So our friends, Mary and Sam, who are known as Common Time Productions and also Produce Like a Pro Academy members, will be taking us through it. Mixcraft 9 comes with two pricing models, $75 for the entry-level recording studio one, which apparently has loads of features anyway, and then $149 for the Pro Studio version. The Pro has more instruments and effects that comes with it, and natively integrates Melodyne for those of you that want Melodyne for only $149, included with a DAW.
Hello, Sam here with Common Time Productions, and today I want to go over several reasons why we love Mixcraft. Alright, let's jump right in. So, first off, I really like the layout. It's one of my favorite things of Mixcraft is, for me, everything seems to be right where it needs to be. I like how the tracks are laid out. I can have pretty much as many as I want. Setting up submixes and my tracks really intuitive. I also use this a lot with young students, so this is a great DAW for beginners. Kids can jump in and feel like they're mixing like the pros in just minutes. There are so many wonderful things in here to, help us along the way so that it sounds good and gets us in the ballpark and feeling like, we are doing the job. They've also got an extensive library of loops and song beds that are ready to go. Minimal mixing is needed to get these tracks to sound really good. And if you really want to take them over the top, you can mix them and they will shine. It's got its own channel strip built right into the DAW. If you've been using DAWs and VSTs for a while, you know that they can get fairly resource heavy. So this has a lot of these things built straight in, helps us get right to work and not worry about the problems with creating latency or other problems that can happen, or slowing everything down so that you're not able to monitor, or not use these things in real time. This is a really nice thing with Mixcraft. These channel strips. This parametric EQ here is almost parallel to an SSL chain. You get this really nice sound that everyone's used to, and then, with a little bit of compression, drive saturation, this gets you in the ballpark super fast without needing to load any VSTs whatsoever. Great function. Other great features inside of Mixcraft are the wonderful library of built-in VST effects and virtual instruments. Then they also allow you to use third party, so I've got a bunch of the Antares system and Waves plugins that I've got in here, and then along with all of the plugins that they supply as well. The TB system here, the Barricade is like a limiter, they've got a great multiband compressor, equalizer, the Faro tape, gate, parametric EQ, and these work wonderful. Go into any one of our loops or tracks, bring it up under the sound monitor, then we can also bring it into Melodyne, and this is native inside Mixcraft. The loop library is also online, so these bring up their extended library of other loops in case you need a cowbell or anything else you can think of, again, native to the program. The performance panel is another fun thing that is built in here that sometimes is overlooked, but you can take these, you can put together your song real quick with the loop beds, render it down, bring in that track, and then I'll cut it up into pieces. You can put it inside the performance panel and be able to play it like a DJ. One of the things that really impressed us with Mixcraft was when we were in the field recording live band. We were able to record a fully live band on stage with a PreSonus 16-channel basic digital mixing board. We were able to run this into a 10-year-old laptop, and it absolutely ran like a champ. We were absolutely floored how well it handled and held up under trial by fire. Our primary computer decided to not work that particular day, but we had the backup rig, and I was very impressed with how resource-friendly Mixcraft can be when it is optimized to its full potential. So even older laptops, older desktop computers can be turned into wonderful music workstations with Mixcraft Pro Studio 9.
Thanks ever so much for watching. There probably will be a part 3. We didn't do Harrison Mixbus, did we? And there's plenty of others. Please don't hesitate to tell us what else we should be doing. We're trying our darndest to get through the DAW wars. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, au revoir, adios, ciao, goodbye, so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, au revoir, adios. Please leave any comments and questions below. Let us know if there's any other DAWs you want featured, and we'll be happy to do it.